for this weekend, but Crispin Zerka, one of the local experts, his experience of the track has served him well to begin with, but now when we get to this level of the competition, everybody's just as good as everybody else on the track. The skill needed to race at the top at this level of British Rental Kart Championship means that you're going to have to be very good at adapting and learning tracks. So everyone else has learned the tracks very well, and so no longer does the likes of Crispin Zerka and Lewis Manley, to name a few, no longer does their track experience give them an advantage. They're really very much on the level playing field now in terms of experience. Okay, so Crispin Zerka, he is on his pace lap. Here he comes at the end of the long straight. We can see him turning in. Quite a flick into the corner there on the camera, and close-up action there on the inside. Oh, just tapping the wall there, Crispin Zerka. But luckily, he's not on the flying lap. Second place will serve him well, and he moves around on the track there. He's going to be bringing in at the end of this one. Okay, next up we've got Russell Endine. Russell Endine, of course, the reigning BRKC heavyweight champion from when there was a heavyweight division. Obviously everyone's running the same weight this year, so there's no need for a heavyweight division. But it has to be said that Russell Endine, a very formidable competitor. We've seen Russell perform, so I would say, punching above his weight, but actually punching below his weight in a sense, because with the BRKC last year running the overall title at a 70-kilo weight limit, Russell was also competing in the heavyweight division, which means he was weighted up to 90 kilos. He was still challenging those and finishing ahead of those in the overall standings who were running 20 kilos lighter. So very, very fierce competitor in Russell Endine. We've seen him win 2 of the heat races he was in. He's really, really shown well this weekend. Russell Endine, here he comes on his pace lap. So Russell Endine is going to be shooting at Annalene Bouton's 33.7. It's still Annalene Bouton's on the provisional pole. We'll see if Russell Endine has anything to say about that. He's starting his flying lap right now. Russell Endine on his flying lap. And he comes into the snail section, a very tricky part of the track. This one, very technical there. Very important, more than anything, not to lose time. The kind of area on the track where you're not going to make anything, but there is scope to lose an awful lot. So Russell Endine now on the fast sweeping left onto the back stretch, and we can see on the live feed there, Russell Endine down the back straight. Russell Endine on his qualifying lap. He's almost near the end, another smooth driver. He runs out a little bit wider than the others perhaps, but he's going to complete that lap, and we'll see where it shakes out. Oh, and we've lost the timing on this section, so we don't really know what Russell Endine's done at the moment, but I'm sure we'll get that feedback very soon. Okay, so Russell Endine, he has concluded his qualifying lap, and he's going to hand over next to Brad Philpott. Brad Philpott, of course, is the championship organizer, and how Brad is going to fare in his own championship is going to be a very interesting thing here. He has made it to the final. He did win a race, and he's also been getting results all weekend. He's another driver, highly competitive in anything. He's been racing with Peugeot in the last year in the Nürburgring 24 hours and performing very well indeed as a factory Peugeot driver in cars. Karting really, though, is where we know Brad best from, and he won that shootout to be one of the Peugeot factory drivers. Brad Philpott is going to be the next one up. And this is exactly Brad's forte, a short, sharp burst of action. If anybody can take the pole position, it's potentially Brad Philpott there. He's getting ready. They're waving him off, are they, for his qualifying lap? He's all set and ready. He's waited up. He's just looking for confirmation. It's time to go. So we'll be looking for Brad Philpott to take to the track next. There he is at the end of the pit lane there. Just having to hold up a moment. He's waving at the camera there for you guys on the live feed. So we're looking down at Brad Philpott. You can see the Peugeot badge on his helmet. He is currently a factory driver with Peugeot in endurance racing out in Europe. And Brad Philpott takes the track now for his pace lap. Okay. So Brad Philpott on the warm-up lap now. A driver of great smoothness. There's really no gaps in Brad's game at all. He's got what it takes to take the pole position, but will he do it is the question. I guess Annalene is still on provisional pole, yeah. And Annalene Boutons is still on the provisional pole with her 33.7, if I remember right. Brad Philpott's got to shoot for that now, so Brad Philpott crossed the line. He's going to start his qualifying lap now. Brad Philpott in the Snell section. Once again, it's an area where there's plenty of time to be lost, but not a lot to be made up. Brad Philpott exiting the Snell section now, around the long sweeping left and down the backstretch he's going to be going. So through the long sweeping left onto the backstretch is Brad Philpott, carrying as much speed as he can down the back straight. Turning in real nice and smooth, and a very nice neat line there, and we can see minimal action on the wheel there from Brad Philpott, just keeping it nice and smooth but carrying speed. And Brad Philpott comes through to finish his lap. 33.7, look at 33.9. He's 0.2 of a second off the pace of what he needed to be to take the pole position. I believe it's still Annalene Boutons who's on the pole with 33.7. Okay, so Brad Philpott, 0.2 of a second off. It's still Annalene Bouton, the reigning ladies world champion, who's on pole position for the British Rental Car Championship final. Brad Philpott probably will be a little bit disappointed that he himself is not on pole, and it would be nice to be on the pole position for the grand final of your own event, of course. Brad Philpott pulls back into the pits, so he has concluded his efforts there. Ruben Bouton looks like he's going to be next up, but there was a timing glitch apparently with Russell Endine's lap, and they're putting Russell Endine back in the kart. Russell Endine is going to make a qualifying run again because of a glitch in the system. Meant that his lap time was not scored. So, having seen Brad Philpott, 33.9, 33.7 is the pole position time. Russell Endine, we've spoken about Russell Endine already, about how he's the reigning heavyweight champion, and he made it to the semi-finals of the World Championships last year in Denmark. Russell Endine, he's coming down the back straight now. He's going to have to put all that World Championship skill to use now because he's got a second shot at pole after the timing glitch earlier on. And here's Russell Endine starting his qualifying lap now. So Russell Endine across the line to begin qualifying. Russell Endine entering that snail section of the track now. He's looking very fast and very smooth indeed. Very close to the wall there, using all the road. And now onto the fast left before the long backstretch. Looking to gain speed onto the backstretch there. Here comes Russell Endine. He's turning into the hairpin, quite slided into the hairpin there compared to Brad Philpott. And another smooth driver, probably works the kart a little bit more than some of the others, such as Annalene Boutons and Brad Philpott. And Russell Endine concludes his lap. Oh, 33.9. He's just behind Brad Philpott, but still nobody can tackle Annalene Boutons' time of 33.7. That's what it takes to get on pole position in the British Rental Car Championship 2014. Russell Endine there, he's going to put himself up the order on the qualifying, but not on the pole position. He's behind Brad Philpott. He's had a quick look at the timing. He's probably relatively unsure where that's going to leave him overall. So Russell Endine coming back into the pits after his qualifying effort. Next up, we're looking at the brother of the pole position holder. Annelien Boutens, as I said, still on the pole position, but now comes brother Ruben. Ruben Boutens has been a karter at world level for a number of years now. Very strong contender, always a challenger for the final in the World Championships. Very strong competitor from Holland, and he's going out to see what he can do. The only thing on his mind now is going to be to bump his sister off the pole position there. Needless to say, if they're running first and second in the final, it could lead to a fairly quiet drive back to Holland, couldn't it? It's an awful long way to be going and nobody talking in the car. So we'll see what Ruben Boutens can do about his sister's pole position time. Ruben Boutens, we can expect a very, very smooth lap in this one, and it's going to be difficult to see where the speed is made and lost. Expect a very smooth run from Ruben, and he starts his lap now. So Ruben Boutens starting his lap now. He's coming around into the Snell section. It's vital to be smooth here. He kind of slides it in, so there's me saying he's going to be smooth, but he's drifted in a little bit more than most on this one. So really getting the kart working there is Ruben Boutens, and hopefully looking for a quick exit from that to get onto the fast left and onto the back straight, which is where he is now. Ruben Boutens turning in very nice and smooth, but quite slippery in towards the final bend. Look at this, very, very smooth, leaning outwards in the typical European style. And he takes the flag, and where is he? He's on pole with a 33.9, just pips Brad Philpott. No, he's not on pole because he's 0.2 of a second slower than sister Annelien Boutens. Annelien Boutens, she was only the second driver out, and she's had to sit there and watch as everyone else goes out shooting at her pole position time. Nobody's beaten it yet. Ruben Boutens, a mere 0.02 ahead of a second ahead of Brad Philpott. What an outstanding run there. And Russell Endine is only 0.06 behind Ruben Boutens, and this is showing just how tight things are at the top. Ruben Boutens comes back into the pits. He'll be a little bit disappointed not to have beaten his sister's time there. We'll see where he ends up overall in the on the grid lineup. So Ruben Boutens exit the kart. Next up, we've got Ted Monfils. We saw Ted Monfils win the final heat race, and so he's a very fast driver, as we know. So Ted Monfils, he's actually third in the overall points that got him into the final here. We've only got two drivers remaining after Ted. So Ted Monfils, and then it'll be Ed White, and the final qualifier will indeed be Lewis Manley. So Ted Monfils heading straight out onto the track now. He was interviewed earlier. For those on the live feed, they've probably seen him talking already on the TV screen. So Ted Monfils is on his pace lap. Ted put in a great performance in that last heat race, bagging a whole ton of points. He's been strong all weekend, and obviously looking to be strong on this qualifying lap as well. Can anybody beat Annelien Boutens' time? Ted Monfils is one of those who really is most likely, you'd say really anyone in this top 10 in the final is likely to, but Ted Monfils begins his challenge now. Ted Monfils on his qualifying lap for the grand final of the British Rental Kart Championship of 2014. Will he be the one to beat Annelien Boutens' pole position time? We're going to find out in a second. He's keeping it tight, he's keeping it fast, he's looking very good. He's onto the backstretch now. Here he comes down the backstretch. We can see on the live feed, that's Ted Monfils turning in very, very smooth indeed. Oh, and he cuts a nice short line across to the long left-hander. Inside line is vital in indoor karting, more so than outdoor karting. It's a much tighter game, and he crosses the line, and what is his time? No, Ted Monfils, it wasn't fast at all. He is, well, it's very fast, but nowhere near where he needs to be. He's half a second off Annelien Boutens' time, 34.2. 34.2 for Ted Monfils, so he's half a second away from Annelien Boutens. It's still looking good for Annelien Boutens. There's only two more drivers remaining, so whatever happens, Annelien is going to be third. She's probably up there worrying about who was going to beat her, but she's still in the provisional pole. At worst, she's going to be third. Now we've got two of the fastest drivers we've seen all weekend going to be shooting for pole on this one, and the camera zooms in on Ted Monfils there. He comes back into the pits. He's probably going to be a little bit disappointed with that one. It's not really not as good as what we've seen from him so far. But anyway, Ted Monfils, that was his qualifying attempt there. Next up, it's Ed White. Ed White has been ballistically quick all weekend, and we've seen him explode out the blocks in the qualifying. So expect a storming effort from Ed White here. Ed White has done a lot of winning this weekend. Needless to say, he won his semi-final, and that was the one where he had to beat Brad Philpott to do it, so that was quite an effort. Ed White actually overtook Brad Philpott in the race. It's quite a robust one, so he's not only a fast driver, he's a pretty fierce competitor too. So Ed White getting close now to completing his warming up lap. Ed White now starting the flying lap there across the line. That's Ed White. So Ed White is on his qualifying lap now. If anyone's going to dislodge Annalene Boutons, you would think it might be Ed White, although we do have Lewis Manley to go. But Ed White surely has to be favourite now, with 2 drivers remaining, to knock Annalene Boutons off the top. Ed White is very rapid around onto the backstretch. There he is, coming on towards you on the screen now. So turning in, aggressive turning from Ed White. We see much more aggressive driving from Ed White than we do from some of the others. He's working that wheel through the long right-hander, flicking it into the final turn. And how is his time going to shake out? Ed White moves to second, 33.9. Great for Annalene Boutons, still on the provisional pole. But look at these times. We've got Ruben Boutons, 33.9. Only 0.01 of a second behind him is Ed White. 0.02 of a second behind Ruben Boutons. Therefore, 0.01 behind Ed White in turn is Brad Philpott. And Russell Ending, 0.06 of a second behind Ruben Boutons. And they're all 0.2 of a second off Annalene Boutons. So you can see how close it is. And if anyone doubts that 0.01 of a second is not very much time indeed, try counting it, is what I would say. So Ed White, his qualifying effort, very fast indeed, but not enough to knock Annalene Boutons off the pole position. Annalene Boutons was the second driver out to qualify, and she's still on that provisional pole position. There is only one more driver remaining, and that, of course, is Lewis Manley. Lewis Manley, one of the local experts here. He's in the running to win the track championship here at Formula Fast in Milton Keynes. Formula Fast Milton Keynes, been an excellent host so far for the British Rental Kart Championship, and surely it's going to be an epic final. Thanks to the team here, they've really done a grand job. There's no way of denying this has been one of the best BRKC events we've had in all 4 years the competition's been running. Very, very well run, and superb kit and a great facility all round. Okay, so one of the local drivers, he's in the local championship here at Formula Fast. He's the only one remaining who can knock Annalene Boutons off the pole position. So, Lewis Manley, he's won races this weekend, very formidable competitor, the top scorer this weekend. It's all down to him to take the pole position if anyone's going to. Lewis Manley, he's taken a wide run there. He's obviously given it a bit of a slow run, and now he's about to start his qualifying lap. He begins that qualifying lap now. Around he goes, around a sweeping right-hander into the snail section of the course. He manages to keep up good speed there. He's looking good. He's running up against the wall and back to the inside, looking for the shortest way round. He still stays short on the way round, all the way onto the backstretch, down the bottom end there now. He's really carrying a lot of speed. He turns in nice and sharp. Another short run through the long right-hander. He's running out a little bit, not as tight as Annalene Boutons, but will that beat her time, or will he fall in behind the Dutch lady? Lewis Manley, 33.9. My goodness, that is incredible lap time. But it's not good enough to take the pole position. It's Annalene Boutons will be starting the final of the British Rental Kart Championship on the pole position there. So Annalene Boutons, the Dutch girl, third. Not third. She was the ladies' world champion last year. So she's carrying that form through to this year as well, with a strong showing in this event on the pole position now for the final of the British Rental Kart Championship. Lewis Manley is now going to bring that kart in, and we're going to get the drivers sorted out in the correct grid order. They're going to make their kart draw, and then we'll get them round on the backstretch, I think, for the setting up of the actual grid itself. It's going to be a single file start, just as we've seen in the other races. So qualifying concluded, and in two halves, basically, because of the timing glitch. But we do know that Annalene Boutens is the one on form. She's the driver on form, taking pole position. We'll be soon finding who's second and third.